Alright, this is a little video about the swap I did on my puch magnum. I used lifan 125 semi-auto. I used it because the mounting points are for a CRF 50. It's pretty standard. It comes with a lot of performance accessories. Lifan supports a lot of different head kits for it. Good aftermarket support for pegs and shifters and chain and all that good stuff. Sprockets. When you want to pick an engine to swap to, you gotta remember that if you want to stay in moped territory, you have to stay under 50 cc's. This 125 classifies this as a motorcycle now, but so you would have to, if you wanted to ride it on the road legal, to register it like a motorcycle, at least here in Connecticut. What are you looking for? You're looking for power? Are you looking for speed? If you're swapping the engine, yeah, that's probably what you're looking for. Just remember that the engine size really does matter as far as the physical size of it. This is a lot bigger than that E50 I pulled out of the frame. It's a lot wider, mostly because of the shift gear that's inside of the case, and only longer because of that long neck on the carburetor intake there. I'm hoping I can switch that around later, but that's for another video. 99% of the replacement engines that you're going to get for something like this are going to be too wide, and none of them are going to fit in this frame properly because the E50 is such a small motor. A couple other things to consider is, are you going to be running the stock rear gear, like the sprocket and the brakes and all that stuff? I decided to go back as much stock as I could. I used the stock rear sprocket, which meant that I had to thin out the stock sprocket that came with a lifan. It's too wide to fit the size chain that the puch uses standard, which is a 415 size. The CRF 50s, which is this is meant to go on, use a size 420 chain. So the sprocket needs to be taken down on both sides, like in a lathe or with a grinder or something, like 50 thousandths on each side, so that the teeth of the sprocket can fit properly inside of the chain. You could go with the 420 chain and it would be big on the back sprocket, but you'll wear the back sprocket out a lot faster and it could jump the sprocket a lot easier since it's got such a big difference in the width of the chain. The mounts I actually designed myself, and they'll fit a bunch of different engine types if you want to go with something from like a Batavis or a Tomos or anything like that. Anything that hangs from a mount will hang from the mount positions. You can't really use like a Hobbit or anything like that. It's got like the swing arm on it. It just doesn't really fit right on the frame here. And plus, this has got the rear swing arm already built into the frame. Let's get a close-up on the actual mounts that I made. Now, it's 2 hangers through the stock mounts for the E50. As you can see there. There we go. I used 2 bits of threaded rod from Home Depot. I think it was 5/8 16 rod, and just put on bolts or nuts and lock washers and washers on the other side. Used nice and thick pieces of aluminum that I milled and put holes in. And underneath, you can see between the 2 stock hangers, that's a stock width for the E50. I put a aluminum spacer in there. Also, to keep the chain line in line with the stock sprocket in the back, you need to move the whole engine over in the frame. as you can see from the front here, that it doesn't sit perfectly center in the frame. It sits off to the what would be the right side. Much more hanging over on this side. And on this side I needed another spacer on the outside so that I could accommodate the width of the stock hangers on the lifan. The same for the top. But the bottom one on the lifan was thinner, so I didn't need to use the same length outside spacer. If you can see it in there. There you go, it should be a little bit better. I am eventually going to retain the stock pedals, I'm hoping. That's why I have the other side set up with the chain and everything. But these hangers work real nice. They keep that engine nice and steady in the frame, and most importantly keep that chain line lined up the way it's supposed to be. Can't really see how I thinned out the gear that well from here, but it fits this new chain quite nicely. And this is a size 415 chain. This is a common size chain for the motorized bicycle kits, so you can get it cheap from something like that. Also, when you put this engine kit together, assuming that you got like the carb and everything, it comes with the shifters. Watch out and make sure that you put the bolt in the right side. Otherwise, you'll crack the that circular retaining part there, where it clamps. Yeah, you'll crack the clamp, which I did. It bolts back on tight enough, but it's hard to find a replacement shifter for these short shaft shifter. The ones for the long shafts, the straight ones, won't work on this because they'll bang against the side of the case. But that's basically it. This hanger setup that I made up at work. But that's the long and the short of it. It's not that hard. Well, I guess it could be if you don't have access to a bunch of tools like I do, like a machine shop practically. But the most important part about this is that it doesn't require any welding, which was very important for me because I don't have a welder. So it's all nuts and bolts, all stuff you can get at Home Depot, except for the aluminum, of course. But it could be steel. It doesn't have to be aluminum. Oh, let's see. I actually have a little print that I drew up a while back for when I was making the pieces. I know it's not much to go by. But there's the spacing and the size of each piece that I used. The width of the outside hangers is a 1/2 inch. The spacer that I used on the outside, on this side, that's a 1 inch, and the one on the bottom is a 1/2 inch. And since the sizes are stock between the E50 mounts and the lifan mounts, it should be the same if you're gonna do this kind of swap. So measure how, when you take the E50 out, measure between the points of the stock hanger, and that's the width of the spacer in the middle, and then just add 1 inch on the top and a 1/2 inch on the bottom spacer, and it actually goes on really nicely and securely. Sorry about the focus, I have to manually do this as I move it. But it runs really nice. It's got plenty of power. It pulls up in second. It tried to flip me right off of it, going from first to second, just banging it through. Of course, you're sitting almost directly over the rear wheel, so it's a wheelie beast. Another mod that I did was, because I'm a heavier dude, I had to change out the rear shock, because otherwise when you're riding around in something like this, it's bang, 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 and it's not a nice ride, and it's not good. It shakes all the bits. So I modified the rear stock shock mounting points with my own style of flange there, and I used shocks from a KZ400 actually, Kawasaki, and they're real nice, hydraulic shock in the center. But besides that, that's the swap in a nutshell. I haven't gotten to the electronics yet, so hooking up power and everything I'm not quite sure about yet. But I'm gonna try to figure that out, and when I do, then I'll let you know. But if you know, let me know. I mean, about wire placement and what wire does what and powers what. I have a voltage regulator too. I just don't know where to quite put it yet. So a little bit more research required on that. And wire nut kill switch. Right now I'm just killing it by choking it. But there you go. How to mount it without ruining your stock mounts. So that if you did want to, you could put the E50 in again. Though after riding something like this, you probably won't. Another little note on this top one is the hanger used to come down to about here, and in order to bring the engine up closer to this rail so that the front part here wasn't scraping on the front wheel, I had to cut a bit off of the bottom of this part here and move the hole up. But once I did that, everything came together, and it actually sits real nice. Alright, any questions, just hit me up in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as fast as I can. I think that's it. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope that your swap goes well. Alright, bye.